Schoology tips and tricks. Trick number 22, workload planning. This is a feature that I know I never clicked on as a classroom teacher, and now I'm kind of wondering why. Was it here? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's a newer feature. But Darren and I were looking into some things and coming up with some ideas, and we were like, "Hey, how about workload planning?" If you are in your active course that has come from Power School, you will see on the left hand side an option here called workload planning. If you've never clicked on it, that's okay. I bet a lot of people haven't, because there's other things over here that maybe you've never clicked on because you don't need to. But this is a really interesting tool built into Schoology. And I did have to add myself to an active course from another teacher to be able to show you how this works. There's no student data here, even though you're going to see some names. You're not going to truly see anything going on with this workload planning option. So it has loaded all of my students to see what is their workload like for this week. Now, obviously, at the high school, when we only see our students every other day, sometimes you really can't help that you have something due on the same day as two other teachers for a student. But if you have some flexibility in what day you make something due, coming to workload planner or planning is a cool way to see what is going on for these students. Okay. So up here at the top, you can see total students above the minimum. And right now, the workload minimum is set at 2 or more items. I could change that to 1 or more items, 3 or more items, all the way up to 10 or more items. I can't imagine a student having 10 or more items. So I can see that on Monday, there are 8 students. So 30% of my students are above that workload. And I can see on Wednesday it gets pretty big, that there are a lot of students with a lot of assignments and things due on that date. Now, these could be tiny things. It might not be anything major to be concerned about, but you can get a quick snapshot here. So I can see for this student, they've got a bit of a week. They had 2 items due on Tuesday and then 4 items on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as far as workload planning goes. So it gives you an idea of what is going on in other classes. This student having 7 items, that could be 2 here and there across several classes. But that's a lot of work on a workload for those students. And I can see Wednesday was a pretty big day. There was a lot of stuff for my students due on Wednesday, and not as much on Monday. So you can see this breakdown. You don't have to do anything with this, but it is just something to be aware of. If a student says, hey, Mrs. Shock, I just have a lot going on this week. This is not going to necessarily reflect everything because this is only assignments and assessments and things that are in Schoology, and there could be other handwritten paper assignments going on in class as well. So this student might have had other work, even though it's showing 0 assignments on their workload. They may have some other things going on for teachers that are just not in Schoology. But it gives you a snapshot view of what is going on for your students by coming into workload planning, and gives you some food for thought about what is going on with those students. And you can click on this and see which classes these are for. So I can see the name of the class. So one is for my class. If this is my class, I can see that one is for civics and one is for civics. So I can very quickly see. I don't have any access to this assignment, but I can see what it is. And I would assume, since there's 2 of these on the same day, these could just be really short. They're really short review activities, and it might not be anything major. But if I click on this and I see 3 projects due for that student, there is a legitimate reason maybe why a student is overwhelmed and stressed when they say that they have a lot going on in a week. So just something to take a look at sometime in an active class, workload planning.